Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. APWSPORTS signing in, and we are at week 18, the final week of the NFL season. It is crazy how it is come and gone, but we still got a lot of playoff positions to be determined, and we have both the AFC and NFC East to be determined, and both the AFC and NFC South still to be determined during this week 18 year. But let's get into these power rankings for week 18. Without further ado, let's dive into it. These are the rankings that I had last week for week 17. Take a screenshot, do your comparisons. Let's get into week 18. All right, so we're going to have it game by game. First, we're going to go Thursday night. I had the Jets last week against the Browns, and I'm keeping the Browns at an A. What an impressive victory. And the Jets are going to be remaining at a D. That offense looked a lot better defensively. They had some moments, but this Jets team is just still at the bottom, and the Browns are one of the more scarier teams heading into these playoffs. They are going to be a very tough out the way Joe Flacco has been playing for them and the way their defense has been playing. They're going to be a tough out. Next, we're going to have the Detroit Lions versus the Dallas Cowboys. I'm still keeping the Cowboys an A. I'm still keeping Detroit an A. It was a very close game. Questionable decision for Dan Campbell to go for 2. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb's looking like a really good tandem. Detroit still created some turnovers. Offensively, they still got some things done in the running game with Gibbs and Montgomery. So I cannot drop them. It was a very competitive game, which I expected. Came down to the wire. Very good contest. I'm going to keep both Cowboys and Detroit at the A tier. Next, we're going to go to Miami and Baltimore. Baltimore just proven themselves to be the best team in the NFL as we talk about it at this point. And the Miami Dolphins, I could easily drop them for getting that much of a beatdown. But I'm going to keep them at an A. They still have a lot of it in front of them. They have a matchup with the Bills for the AFC East crown. And it sucks that Bradley Chubb is now out with a torn ACL injury. I think this Dolphins team, if it was a little bit more healthier, maybe it would have been a more competitive game, but as it stands now, the Baltimore Ravens are the best team in the NFL, point blank period. Now we're going to go to the New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. I'm still keeping the Bills in A, and the Patriots, I am still keeping them at a D. Surprising so far, the rankings have basically remained the same, but this Patriots team, we just know what they are. They still try to keep it a little bit competitive and close, but Buffalo just proved to be a little bit too much for them. And the Bills, they still have a lot going on. They still have their destiny in their lines going into week 18, and you have Allen, and you have this running game, and you have a defense that's been playing better and better the last couple of weeks. So I'm keeping the Bills at A, Patriots D. Next, we're going to go to the Atlanta Falcons versus the Chicago Bears. This might sound so crazy for me to do this. I'm putting the Bears at a B, and I'm going to put the Atlanta Falcons, I'm going to drop them to a C. Yes, this is the highest that I've had the Bears all season. We all know what that defense has been getting themselves into the last couple of weeks. Offensively, even though I still say fire Luke Getsy, we know this team has been improving, and Justin Fields looks like he is the man for Chicago. I'll just lead that to the video that I made yesterday about the #1 overall pick and also more reaction. And then this Falcons team has a quarterback problem. Heineke struggled, and when Ritter got in, he struggled. They did some things in the running game, but that defense just did not look good at all. And they got beat up in the running game, very beat up physically, and quarterback problem is just remaining large. So I'm going to drop the Falcons, and I'm going to move the Bears up to the B. Next, we have the Tennessee Titans at the Houston Texans. Keeping the Texans at a B, and I am going to have the Tennessee Titans still at a C. I still believe this Houston Texans team is the biggest surprise of this 2023 season. We know we all talk about the Browns and the things that they've been doing, but who expected the Texans to be in contention at 9-7 for an AFC South division crown? No one. We knew the Browns would be a solid team, but no one expected this from Houston. They are playing some really good football. C.J. Stroud coming back. You have that defense that's been solid. Will Anderson Jr. has been a very good rookie. And the Titans, it sucks that the quarterback issues still loom. Levis, even though he got hurt, and Tannehill, it just looks like it says it is his time. It is his time. But now we're going to move on to the Las Vegas Raiders playing the Indianapolis Colts. Last week I had the Raiders at the C, keeping the Raiders down. And I had the Indianapolis Colts at B, and I'm going to keep them there too. It's still crazy. The Colts, just like the Texans, are in the race for the AFC South. So at this point, I am putting them at a C. The Raiders, I'm still believing Antonio Pierce being the head coach for them. I just think they have a quarterback problem as well as the Colts have a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback problem. The Colts, I just think they need to find some consistency, mainly defensively sometimes. But at the end of the day, I'm still keeping those teams where they were. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers. Thank you for them securing the Bears' #1 overall pick versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm going to keep them in the B because of the 3-head race for that AFC South division. Who would have thought it would have been like this? The Jaguars have been kind of faltering a little bit down the stretch despite the win over the Panthers, even though you shut out the Panthers. It's not a big deal because they suck right now. But anyway, at the end of the day, you still have a chance at the playoffs. And I would have had the Jaguars up, but they just been faltering down the stretch. And we all know what the Panthers are. Next, we're going to go to the Rams and the Giants. For the Rams making it to a playoffs, I'm keeping them at a B, even though I kind of want to move them up to an A, but I just don't think they're at the level of these football teams. And the New York Giants, they are going to stay at the bottom. They have a quarterback problem somewhat right now with the whole injuries and inconsistent play. Then the Rams have been a very big surprise. No one would have thought the Rams would be in the playoffs right now. I personally didn't pick them to make the playoffs. I didn't even pick them to be close. So at the end of the day, this Rams football team has been overachieving at this point with some of the things they gave up on defense and some of the pieces they lost. They even traded Van Jefferson during the year. And this team still looks good with Nakul, Cup, and Kyra Williams has been a big surprise for them. So I will put them at a B. Next, we're going to have the Arizona Cardinals versus the Philadelphia Eagles. This might be crazy, but putting the Eagles at a B. I'm still going to keep the Cardinals at D. And this is the reason I'm putting the Eagles at a B. Their problems still remain large. Defensive problems still remain. Secondary still remain. Inconsistent from their offense still remains. I wanted to see this Philly team come back and succeed. They had just been absolutely faltering down the stretch, losing 4 of their last 5 games, and they had just not been looking like the team that they looked like earlier, even though there were some kind of hints earlier that it might come crashing down. And this team is just faltering. And for them to lose that comeback lead to the Cardinals, they have to fall. They have to fall for that specific reason. Next, we're going to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to have the Buccaneers remain at B, and I'm going to have the Saints move up to B. The Saints looked very good against the Buccaneers, offensively and defensively. They looked like the very good football team, and the Buccaneers just did not look good. Buccaneers offensively didn't get things going. Defensively, they couldn't stop the Saints. So I'm keeping them at a B for now. They still have a race for that poorest South division in the NFC. And I'm moving the Saints up because they are at that same level as the Buccaneers. So I can't have them below. Next, we're going to have the San Francisco 49ers. And I'm going to put them at an S tier because I'm going to leave the number 1, 2 seeds up there in the 49ers. They bounced back after that drubbing that they took off the hands of the Ravens. And then we're going to have the Washington Commanders, who it's crazy that they had Jacoby Brissett starting, and this team has just lost it, and I still, for the life of me, don't know why they haven't made a coaching change. They need to make a coaching change. Point blank period, I think it's time for this team to start to move in a different direction. Next, we're going to have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm at them at a B. And the Seattle Seahawks, I'm keeping them at a B. They still have their playoff hopes alive. Steelers still have their playoff hopes alive. And the Steelers keep that streak going with not having a single losing season over Mike Tomlin. Congratulations to him for that. And he has this team playing a lot better now that Mason Rudolph is the quarterback and Kenny Pickett is still dealing with his injury. So, and then that defense plays solid. So I'm going to keep the Steelers at a B and keep the Seahawks at a B. Next, we have the Bengals taking on, next we have the Chargers taking on the Broncos. And the Broncos, I'm going to keep the Broncos at C. The Chargers, well, we know what they are at this point without Herbert, even though their defense has been the defense underachieved. So we're going to keep them at a D. Next, we're going to have the Bengals taking on the Chiefs. Chiefs win that division. I'm going to put the Chiefs at an A. And the Bengals, I'm going to drop them. No, I'm going to leave them at a B. They still win a very competitive football game with the Chiefs, even though the Chiefs has been, I think, offensively especially, a shell of themselves. But I'm going to move them up to an A, just mainly for the simple fact that they won that AFC West division. And I'm going to keep the Bengals at B. And last but not least, the Green Bay Packers versus the Minnesota Vikings. I'm dropping the Vikings to a D, and I'm moving the Green Bay Packers to a B. As much as it pains me to even compliment the Packers, Jordan Love looked very good in that ball game against the Vikings, especially a Vikings team that likes to blitz. They made that Vikings defense look pedestrian at times. And then on top of that, that Packers defense played a lot better, even though the Vikings I think they did the game stupidly by starting Jaron Hall, especially in a big game like that, with Nick Mullins, I thought was probably the better quarterback for them, but they just looked awful, and then the Packers just look good, and I hope the Bears take care of business. But anyway, these are my rankings for Week 18. Leave you guys' thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. But I am APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe, have a great and excellent day, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.